Author Omid Scobie's bombshell book on the royal family has caused plenty of controversy around the world. But in the Netherlands, it's actually been pulled from shelves because of what they call a translation error. Dutch versions of the book are said to reveal two, in inverted commas, royal racists who are said to be concerned about the colour of Harry and Meghan's unborn baby. Joining me in the studio, TalkTV's royal editor, Sarah Hewson. Well, it's all kicking off, isn't it?
Isn't it? Omid Scobie said that this was all under control, as publishers all had it under control. It doesn't feel that way, does it? With books being pulped in the Netherlands, pulled from the shelves, because of what the publishers there, the Dutch publishers, are describing as an error, a translation error. I don't know what the truth of this is and how this has happened. Omid Scobie claims that he never wrote the names of these two members of the royal family or household in his English version of the book. That is what he said he wrote, and that has been translated. So he says, I've no idea how this has happened. But you can talk about an error in translation, perhaps with one name, but two?
But
I'm not so sure.
But it doesn't make sense, because if you write something and it has a name in it, then it has a name in it. And then when it's translated, you translate it with the name.
And it's
but if it hasn't got the name in it, you can't put the name in it and then say it's an error of translation, can you?
And it's not in the English version of the book. So you and I have read the book.
Yeah, I've read the book.
And the names are not in there. And Omid Scobie has said, well, I can't put them in the book anyway because of libel laws here in the UK. I think what this has done, regardless of whose fault it is or what has happened, it has dragged up this royal racism row yet again. And actually, Harry and Meghan had tried to distance themselves from the claims that were originally made in the Oprah Winfrey interview, because around the publication of Spare and the interviews that Harry did, he was asked, are you saying that a member of your family was racist? And he said, no, I don't think so. Actually, we're talking about unconscious bias here. So they tried to step back from this. But what Omid Scobie has done in this book is keep digging on that one and brought it back up. And the timing, of course, is particularly pertinent because we were starting to see potentially a thawing of relations and olive branches between the King and his son, Harry.
Yes, and I mean, the whole thing seems extraordinary because people, I think, are wondering why this would happen. Some people are wondering whether it's a PR stunt. The other thing people are concerned about is that now the name one particular name and possibly the other name are out there in social media, on the internet and everything else, whether they can be reported by us here, which they can't, or by British papers. They're out there for people to know if they want to know them.
They are, and it is very damaging. And in some respects, Vanessa, it takes me back to earlier on this year when Spare was published early in Spain, and everyone was scrambling to get hold of copies of the Spanish version of Spare and then the translations of that copy. But obviously, this is extremely damaging. The copies have been pulled from the shelves, but it's too late. It is out there.
Yes.
It was picked up by journalists yesterday who've been given a review copy of it, and it is out there on social media. And whether or not Harry and Meghan wanted to distance themselves and move on, because in the book, Omid Scobie talks about them, you know, wanting to look forward now and not wanting to keep going back to the past. This has taken us right back to that Oprah Winfrey interview and the claims that were made about how difficult things were for them within the royal family.
Well, I'm on about page 318, I think. Not
that
I'm counting.
Chapter.
But so we've both read it now, most of it anyway, and I'll be finishing it tonight. What do you make of it? I mean, because it has been, in many cases, really panned, hasn't it, by critics? Lots of people at pains to point out inaccuracies and things of that kind. What do you think?
I think if you put aside this claim about royal racists, there are no big bombshells in this book for me. I feel that after the 6-part Netflix documentary, after Spare, after all of the interviews, after Meghan's podcast, after all of the publicity this couple have done, we've heard most of what is in this book before. There is nothing particularly new. Yes, we get a bit more detail on claims about, you know, the fractured relationship between Harry and William. Yes, we get allegations that William and his father do not see eye to eye on the future of the monarchy. It's highly critical of Kate. For example, Princess Anne was apparently the person who suggested that Frogmore Cottage should be taken from the Sussexes. There's even criticism of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh in there. It's not a flattering portrait, but putting the racist claim aside, I don't think it's going to do them too much damage because there's nothing here that hasn't really been said.
Do you think that Harry and Meghan escape censure, that everyone else is criticised and Harry and Meghan somehow not really?
Yeah, it's a very flattering portrayal of Harry and Meghan. There's very little criticism. In fact, the only thing that I can think of really is that Omid Scobie suggests they might have made some slightly rash financial decisions, commercial decisions in the early days because they were so desperate to make sure that they made some money to pay for their security, etc. I can't think of very much criticism of this couple at all in the book. But we knew what we were getting here, didn't we? I mean, Omid Scobie denies that he's their cheerleader, that he's their mouthpiece. He really doesn't like those terms. But we know he has aligned himself to the Sussexes. It's his second book, and this very much is written from their perspective and about the struggles that they feel they have faced within the royal family. And we're not going to get a response from Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace, so it's his word against theirs.
I must say, though, I haven't been bored reading it.
You haven't?
I haven't.
No.
I found it, let's say, an easier read than Spare, which I'm surprised about. I found it, yes. I found it rollicks along in a way that I didn't think that Spare did. Sarah Hewson, always fascinating. Thank you.